Hello and welcome to episode 39 of the Giddy Knits Podcast. I am Helen, as usual, and I am coming to you from Dundee in Scotland, where I live with my husband Tom and my two boys Arthur, who is 5, and Jasper, who is 2. Today is Saturday the 9th of February, and this is predominantly a knitting podcast. I am the dyer behind Giddy Yarns, so I am an indie yarn dyer. And this podcast is mostly just for me to share my current knitting, what I'm working on, my crafting and all of that kind of thing. So hello to anyone that is new and welcome back to anyone that has watched me before. Thank you so much for coming and checking out the podcast. We have had a lot of new subscribers in the last month or so. So yeah, thank you so much for coming and checking me out. This week you may notice a slight difference in the background. Now, I have got plans to hopefully improve the quality of the podcast and improve the lighting quality of the podcast. Unfortunately, that means that this week the lighting is rubbish. I have moved locations, and also, as you'll notice, the background is really dull and boring today. I'm sorry, I've tried to jazz it up with my granny stripe blanket, but I don't currently have anything on this wall. But I have got some picture frames and things on the way, and this wall will hopefully get more interesting in the next few weeks. And I am also going to be looking at purchasing some studio lights to just give a better lighting quality to the podcast. Yeah, generally. Unfortunately, there just isn't a place in the house where I can sit where the lighting is how I would like it to be, basically. So we're going to work on it. We're going to do something. But it does mean that unfortunately this week the lighting is appalling. It is about 2:30 in the afternoon. And I am actually recording this for the second time because the first one was so ridiculously all over the place, even by my standards, that I just couldn't go with it. So you're getting round 2 and we'll see whether it's any better. Anyway, that was my rambling entrance as usual. So yeah, basically hoping that the lighting isn't too horrendous. Hopefully we don't lose the light too much as the podcast goes on. But we're going to just have to go with it for this week. And then hopefully on the next episode I will have some studio lights and the quality will improve. Right, so what have I got for you this week? Let's go with that, shall we? I've got some announcements, I've got some finished objects, I've got some works in progress to share, I've got a new cast on, well, in fact I've got 3 new cast ons to share. I've got a little bit of yarny goodness, and I've also going to touch on a little bit of shop news right at the end. So let's just get straight into it. Let's go straight into announcements. Okay, so announcements. We are currently running the Small But Mighty Cal, which is a knit along / crochet along, crochet is perfectly acceptable, that will be running until the end of February. Works in progress, as long as they were less than 50% done as of the 1st of February when the Cal started, are perfectly acceptable. The main rule is that you use a maximum of 20 grams per colour in your project. Now, of course, you can knit a massive shawl, but only 20 grams of each colour or each yarn goes into that shawl. All the rules can be found in the Ravelry group, which will be linked down below. Also, all the show notes for the episode will be found in the Ravelry group or on my website, both of which will be linked in the drop-down thing down below. So yeah, prizes. There will be prizes. And I have decided that I will be drawing prizes. I will be drawing winners for prizes from both the finished object thread in the Ravelry group, which actually isn't there yet. I will do that when I upload this episode. And also from the chatter thread. I want to encourage some chatter. Come and chat. Come and tell me about your projects. Tell me what you're casting on. And I will be drawing winners for prizes from both of those threads. As for prizes, I will be donating some mini bundles. I have got no idea which ones yet because I haven't got any dyed up because I'm that organised. But there will definitely be mini skein bundles up for grabs. I have also had some lovely pattern prizes offered to the podcast as well. So Vicky Gorey, who is Vera and Bess on Instagram, is a wonderful pattern designer, and she has donated a copy of her new Storm Dance wrap pattern, which is a fantastic pattern that will work really, really well with scraps, leftovers or mini skeins. And I will pop up a picture of the pattern. Tongue twisters. I will pop up a picture of the pattern just here so that you can see it. Also, an Instagram friend of mine has very, very kindly offered to donate 2 patterns. And she has donated, both of these patterns are by Susan B. Anderson, and the first one is the Holiday Charm set, which is a fantastic kind of garland of little miniature projects, and also the Fall Harvest Charm set, both of which I will pop pictures of up here for you to see. So I was just thinking as well, what I'm going to do quickly now is I'm just going to insert some project ideas for the cowl. So there's a variety of small patterns, I can't talk. See, this is why I had to record it twice. There are a variety of small projects and larger projects, and I'm just going to do like a little gallery right now of all of the different project ideas that I found just searching through Ravelry, just to give you some ideas, and also to share some of these projects if they're ones that you may not have seen before. So I will do that right now. Okay, and the other thing I just wanted to touch on quickly in the announcement section is Unravel. I will be travelling down to Unravel Yarn Festival in Farnham on the 23rd of February. I'm coming down for the weekend just to spend a little time with a friend of mine, and we will be hopefully going to Tribe Yarns in Richmond on the Friday afternoon, and we will be coming to Unravel on the Saturday. So if you're going to be at Unravel, then on the Saturday, that is, the 23rd of February, then let me know, because I would love to say hi, I would love to meet up, and yeah, I'd love to see what you're buying. Anyway, just so you know, I will be at Unravel, so if you're there and you see me, then please say hello. Okay, so let's move on straight away to finished objects, and I have got 2 finished objects to share with you this week. The first finished object I have is my Jemima socks, and these are a pattern by Kay Jones of the Bakery Bears, and she put out a Beatrix Potter sock collection last year. So these are inspired by Jemima Puddle Duck, and they are just a lovely textured, see it wants to focus on my face as always, let's bring it up in front of me. They are a lovely textured pattern, really, really simple pattern, and yeah, just a really fun. I altered the pattern, as I always seem to add in a German short row heel, because the pattern was written with a heel flap and gusset, but I did use the toe that was in the pattern, and this is the umbrella toe that is a toe that was created by Kay Jones for her patterns, and it's a really fun toe to knit. It'll be interesting to see how well it feels and how well it fits. The yarn I used is Golding Yarns in the Great Scott colourway. So this is her label just here. And this was part of a Back to the Future yarn club in 2017, I believe. Is that going to focus? There we go. And the yarn base is just a 75-25 merino nylon. But yeah, I really enjoyed these. I was a little concerned about the pooling and the effect of the pooling to start with, But actually, with the texture pattern of this, I really like it. I think it works really well, and it was really fun to knit. And the heel and toe colour was the colour that came with the yarn. So it was the colour that was intended to go, and I think it's really, really fun. So that is my first finished object, and these are my second finished pair of socks for the year. So I touched last time on how I wanted to finish a pair of socks every month. That not necessarily start and finish, but just finish a pair of socks each month. So these were finished in February. So these are my finished socks for February, which is really nice. And I have one other finished object for you. Just work out where I put everything. And this is my second finished object. I finished my Kimber hat, which is a pattern by Nori-chan Knits. And yeah, I absolutely love it. I was a little unsure to start with because the effect that I'd finished, I was not unsure about the pattern. The pattern was fantastic. The yarn choice was my concern, and that was completely down to me. I didn't use the yarn that was used in the pattern at all. I used a skein of fingering weight yarn, which is this one here, which is a company called Skein, who are an Australian brand. I had their label, here it is. Hand-dyed yarn from Australia, and I received this in Fibershare swap a while ago. It is 100% merino. It's a single ply yarn. See if you can get a decent focus on it. There we go. It's a single ply yarn, and it was lovely to work with. And I paired it with some Drops Kid Silk Haze, or Drops Silk Haze. I don't know. Anyway, I would say I've got another ball of it somewhere, which I do, but I haven't got it out. And I can't remember the name of the colour. I'll make sure that it's in my show notes. Yes, so I paired it with this, but when I ordered the yarn, when I ordered the mohair, I hadn't quite anticipated the effect it was going to give in the way it's kind of striped as it knit up. And I was a little bit unsure about it to start with, but I've kind of come to terms with it and I've accepted it, and I do really like it. And I will try it on for you so you can see what it looks like on. It's a little bit big for me, and it is quite a slouchy. It's meant to be a slouchy hat. So here we go. This is what it looks like on, and I've been wearing it like this, but then when it was snowing the other day, I also kind of wore it a bit more kind of beanie style. I folded up the brim and then wore it more as a beanie style, just to keep my ears that little bit warmer, and I think it works really well either way. It is a lovely, lovely pattern, and I'm very tempted, sort my hair out, very tempted to knit another one actually, but using a solid mohair. So that might happen at some point. But yes, so that is the Kimber hat by Noriko Ho, who is Nori-chan Knits, and I would highly recommend the pattern. Really well written, and yeah, absolutely lovely. What else? Is that all I needed to tell you about my finished objects? Quite possible. Yeah, sorry I've forgotten the mohair yarn for this one. I will make sure that it is all in the show notes so that you can see it. And actually, talking about the mohair yarn, so there is a big craze at the moment to pair things with mohair, and this is the first project I've finished that does it, and the other one I'm working on is my I've forgotten the name of the pattern. Is it the Drops of Snow Wrap? Dust of Snow Wrap, that's the one. Oh my goodness. Is the Dust of Snow Wrap, which is a pattern by Curious Handmade, Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. And again, I'm holding that fingering weight and mohair together. Now, mohair can be very expensive, and if you're holding a skein of hand-dyed yarn with a skein of hand-dyed mohair, you're looking at probably 40 quid for a hat, which is a lot of money. So I would say that I used for this, I purchased, as I said, the mohair is Drops, it's a Kid Silk Haze. It is a 70% mohair, 30% silk, I believe. And it is it's lovely. It's really soft. I'm sure maybe a hand-dyed one would be softer, but it is perfectly acceptable. I wouldn't moan about it at all. I would happily use this again, and it is much more affordable at all of, I think it was about £3 for a 50-gram ball, which was all I needed for this. Added to a skein of yarn from my stash, actually made it quite an acceptable, that's not the word I want, but a budget-friendly way of using mohair in a project. Let's go with that. So they are my finished objects. So let's go on to some works in progress, shall we? The only issue with having recorded this whole podcast twice is that I've drunk all my drink, so I have got no more drink to drink while I'm talking to you, which feels a bit weird. I feel like I'm missing I don't know, maybe my drink is kind of my comfort while I'm speaking to you all. Anyway, works in progress. I've got 3 works in progress to share with you, and they're all in slight disarray, seeing as this is the second time I'm recording. But the first one is my Prairie Fire, and I have been doing a bit of work on this. For those of you that haven't seen this before, this pattern is the Prairie Fire by Tin Can Knits. And it is just a gorgeous lace sweater. It's got this fantastic lace panel that starts right up at the neck and comes down in a V, and it goes around the back in a V as well. And yeah, it's been really enjoyable to knit. It's just taking me a long time. But I have one sleeve finished, and I am making progress on the second sleeve. This will be finished by Unravel. I am intending to wear this at Unravel. I've now got to the decreases on this sleeve, and I do find that once I hit the decreases, it goes a bit quicker because, well, not only because you're obviously getting less stitches on the needles, obviously, but I tend to tick off my decreases and my rows between decreases on the pattern. So I find that when I'm actually doing that, it goes quicker. I think maybe I see more progress in terms of what I've ticked off rather than when you're just knitting for so many inches. So this is growing, and hopefully it will be finished. Well, it better be finished by the next time I podcast, because the next time I podcast will probably be just before Unravel. So yeah, it's doing really well. And the yarn it's a 100% merino, 100% superwash merino. It's a DK weight yarn, and it's a yarn that I dyed. I obviously, as a yarn dyer, I have the advantage of being able to pick up undyed yarn at wholesale prices because I purchase large orders. Let's see if I can show off the colour a little bit better. Not really. There we go. That would kind of do. It's a bit coming up a bit brighter. It always comes up a bit brighter on the screen. But yeah, so I'm able to pick up undyed yarn at wholesale prices and dye it myself, which makes a sweater out of hand-dyed DK yarn much more affordable. But yeah, this was kind of the precursor to my Loganberry colourway. My Loganberry colourway is more concentrated than this colourway, but it's made up of the same kind of colours. Yeah, so that is my Prairie Fire. And my Prairie Fire is living in this lovely bag, which I've shown you on the podcast a number of times, from Mrs. S Creations. And Jilly has a lovely shop, and she sells lots of lovely project bags. This one was very kindly gifted to me by Jilly last year when I was hosting the new Along How, and she donated a prize. So she sent 2 bags, one as a prize for the knit along and one for me to keep. So yeah, very kindly donated, very kindly gifted to me. Okay, and my second project that is a work in progress is living in this lovely little bag from Jem at The Little Grey Girl. And this was one of her mystery gems from last year, which I purchased. And that is my newborn vertebrae. Now I've finished the body of the newborn vertebrae, and I have got one sleeve done. And I've got this lovely progress keeper on here. From Hannah at the Corner of Craft, one of her lovely beaded progress keepers. And having this shark progress keeper on a baby cardigan just makes me want to sing Baby Shark all the time. I can't get it out of my head when I'm knitting on this project. The yarn I'm using, and so the pattern, as I said, the pattern's the Newborn Vertebrae by Kelly I can never get her name right. Where is it written on my show notes? I've lost it. There it is. Kelly Van Nykirk. And it is a fantastic pattern. So as I said, this is the newborn version. Let me see if I can show you properly. Here you go. So this is the newborn version. And I'm knitting this out of some hand-dyed yarn. Again, this is one of my yarns. And this is kind of one of the colours from my Gradient Party trio. But this was kind of a test one that it wouldn't go wrong. It just, the background colour wasn't dark enough. But it's got the same speckles on it as the Gradient Party trio has. But it's super fun. The friend that I am knitting this for doesn't know whether she's having a girl or a boy, and she loves grey. So this seemed like a really good kind of neutral colour to knit for her. Yeah, but I need to get a move on because baby's due at the end of February. So hopefully I will get that finished and off to her before baby arrives. Okay, so I have got another new cast on. Which is living in this project bag here, this lovely owl one. I bought this from Owl About Yarn a long time ago when I first sort of started to discover Etsy and hand-dyed yarn and things like that. And living in here is this crazy bright hat. And this is a hat that I've cast on for Arthur. He has lost his hat at school somewhere, so he's in need of a new one. And I let him go through, well, I picked out a few skeins from my yarn stash and let him choose a skein. So of course he chose the brightest skein of yarn he could find, but he did say he wanted one with all the colours in. And I think he's pretty much got that. So this yarn is from Mothie and the Squid, and it's in their Lime Rainbow Bright colourway. It's a 75-25 merino nylon, and I'm holding 2 strands together to knit this. I'm not really using a pattern. This is kind of loosely based on the Barley hat, but it's also loosely based on the Mix and Match hat pattern by Knitting Expat. The Barley hat is a Tin Can Knits pattern, which I've knit a number of times before. But yeah, this is knitting up nicely. Arthur's loving how it's striping. And I think it'll make a really fun hat with the stripes. I just need to get on with it, but it's a little bit dull and I want to work on everything else. Was I still on Works in Progress? And I've just moved straight on... Yeah, I've just moved straight on to new cast-ons. Oh, wow. That was a new cast-on. Sorry. Shall we go back to Works in Progress? Because there was something else I wanted to show you. This is the problem with having everything in disarray after having recorded once. And I'm going to keep saying that. Second time recording. Anyway... Something a bit different, which I've kind of just shown you now by waving it around anyway. I've been working on a cross stitch, which you have seen before on the podcast, but quite a while ago. And that is this lovely cross stitch here. This is a pattern by Plastic Little Covers, who are an Instagram. They sell their patterns on Instagram. And I didn't buy it as a kit. I bought the pattern and I've used my own threads. Although I think I bought threads at the same time, but I didn't buy it as a kit. I just bought some of the colours that I needed. And yeah, so her patterns are sold as a download. That's what I'm trying to say. You can purchase a download of the pattern, which makes them really affordable, and you can use your own colours. And I purchased 3 patterns in a sale at the time. And I've got this one. I've got one that is similar. It's got different flowers, but it's still kind of a floral borders, which says home is where the bra isn't. And then I've also got one which, again, it's a floral one, but it says, I think it says happily ever after on it. And the intention is for these to hang up above our bed. And I've been moaning to Tom this week about how bare our walls are looking, because although we've got pictures up, we've not got a lot else. Kind of, it all looks a bit bare in places, and that's part of the issue with renting, I think. Sometimes you just kind of feel like you can't put things up. But yeah, so I've been moaning to him about that, but as part of that, it means I need to get the stuff that I wanted to put up on the walls finished. So I've been working on this, and hopefully by the next time I record, I will be finished, because I've only got kind of a small section here that needs to be finished off. Okay, so now we'll actually move on to works in progress. No, we won't, we've done works in progress. We'll move on to new cast-ons, because I have still got 2 new cast-ons to share with you, despite having accidentally already shown you one. So my second new cast-on is living in this lovely bag from Naughty Knitting Sacks. And again, some of the bags from Naughty Knitting Sacks that I have were very kindly gifted to me. However, this one, my parents purchased for me for Christmas. Last Christmas, I believe, or Christmas a couple of years ago, I don't know. Anyway, they purchased me this one. And living in here is the start of a pair of shorty socks. So I have cast on, it's all tangled around the needle. Anyway, I have cast on for the mermaid socks, which is a pattern by Lily of Nordic Stitches, and it was part of her Summer Shorties Sock Club last year. And yeah, there's not a lot of the lace to show yet. It has a heel because it's a shorty sock. And the yarn I'm using, which is just not going to show up very well with the lighting today, I'm afraid, but the yarn I'm using is one of my new colourways, Let Me Count the Ways, which is one of my Valentine's colourways, although I have a feeling it's going to become a regular because I absolutely love it. I love these speckles, and yeah, it's just really, really lovely. And there is some of this in the shop at the moment. Yeah, so these are just going to become kind of some Valentine's socks. I wanted to knit this up to test out the technique that I had used for dyeing this colourway. Basically, it was kind of a new technique, but I'm really, really happy with the effect and the results. So yeah, I kind of just want to sit down and work on these, but I keep feeling like there's so many other things I need to get off the needles and finished, and yeah, the pressures of knitting. And I have got one more work in progress to share with you. No, one more new cast on to share with you. And that is a pair of scrappy socks. They are living, well, they're not at the moment because I've already taken them out and put them on my lap, living in this lovely bag, which is a bag from Gemma, again, a little grey girl. And again, this one was gifted to me because this was the bag that came with her Cocktail Hour Mystery Gem. I show you the fabric on the back. Her Cocktail Hour Mystery Gem, which I think was like December last year. But I was the yarn dyer for the Mystery Gem. So she very kindly gifted me one of the sets after the Mystery Gem had passed. So I have cast on a pair of scrappy socks, and this is kind of my project for the Small But Mighty Cow. So here they are. I've not made a lot of progress on them yet. I think I've got 4 colours of the 6 in, but I'm really, really enjoying the process. I am casting on, I'm doing 8 rows for each colour. I intended on having a longer cuff, but when I started the second colour, I just completely forgot to do rib and just started doing stocking stitch. And by the time I'd realised my mistake, I couldn't be bothered to rip it up. So I've just got a shorter cuff. And I'm using the yarns from the Lay Family Yarns and Friends January Yarn Club. So they're all here. And this one was in collaboration, so this was Lay Family Yarns, and it was in collaboration with Fine Fish Yarns. So yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing these knit up. And I think it's such a lovely idea having kind of a yarn collaboration with different dyers dyeing up colourways based on the same kind of fabric. I'm trying not to put it in the shadow, sorry. I promise we'll sort the lighting out. Yeah, so I'm just going to do, I've cast on my normal 68 stitches. I'm doing 8 rows per colour, and then I'm just going to knit the leg until I'm happy with the length of it, as you would do, stick in a German short row heel, and I think I'm going to do that in a solid colour. I haven't picked out a colour yet, but I'm going to try and have a look through my kind of box of heels and toes and stuff, and it's obviously not a box of heels and toes. That would be really gross and slightly disturbing. It's a box of yarn that is destined to become heels and toes in socks. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to pick out a colour that I'm happy will work with this yarn, if that makes sense. So yeah, so these are my entry into the Small But Mighty Cow. And that is all of my current kind of knitting at the moment. But I do have some yarny goodness to share with you, only a little bit this week. And it's quite appropriate to move on to it, having just been talking about the Lay Family and Yarns Club, because my yarny goodness is the February instalment of the Lay Family and Yarns mini skein club. So if you haven't received yours yet, then please look away. Although I have had this for over a week, so hopefully everybody has received theirs. But as usual, it's come in a lovely box with the tissue paper wrapped up, and everything is nestled in there. So I will start by sharing the lavender sachet. So the first collaborator that Kelly has is Jules of So Sweet Violet, and she's creating each month little lavender sachets with Liberty fabric. And there's her lovely little stamped logo on the back. So this is the fabric for this month. Really pretty, and it smells lovely because it's a lavender sachet. And then here's the yarn. So you get 3 skeins dyed by Kelly at Lay Family Yarns, which are these 3 here. Lovely kind of oranges and purples and plummy colours and pinks this month. Really, really nice. And then her yarn collaborator is Betsy Makes. And oops, I'm throwing it everywhere. Oh, that mini skein's got untwisted somehow. Oh well. Her yarn collaborator is Betsy Makes, who is a yarn dyer that I've heard of, but I've not had any yarn from before. And these are the lovely colours that she came up with. Everything's getting a little bit blown out now, but there we go. Absolutely gorgeous, really, really lovely. And again, my plan with these is to make scrappy socks with kind of all the month's clubs, if that makes sense. And then you also receive a lovely tea, a little bit of chocolate, and she also includes a scented candle, which is very nice, and a lovely little stitch marker in the same colours as well, which is lovely. And in fact, that reminds me, I must dig that stitch marker out and use that with these socks so that it's the matching colours. So that is the Lay Family and Yarns Club that I've received. And then one other thing which arrived in the post this morning, and I ordered these on Wednesday, and that is just a lovely set of progress keepers from Indy at Front Pocket Studios. And these are so cute. See if I can actually get them to show up nicely. There we go. So there's a lovely little scrappy sock, a rainbow hot air balloon, and a little knitted heart. And yeah, they're absolutely gorgeous. And all the little scrappy socks, oops, I've lost the focus on that now. All the little scrappy socks that she does are individual. So these are hand drawn, and then they're hand drawn stitch markers, and they're kind of resin coated. I'm not quite sure how she does it, but they are brilliant. Really, really lightweight and perfect for projects. And yeah, her customer service is fantastic. She sells through Facebook. I will make sure obviously it's all linked in the show notes, but she sells through Facebook, and I've not really bought anything from anybody on Facebook before, so I was a little bit kind of not sure what to do, but yeah, I messaged her and it was really easy and absolutely fantastic. So I would highly recommend these. And also in terms of kind of progress keepers and things like that, these are very affordable. So these 3 progress keepers, and she offers a choice of lobster clip, lever back, which is what I've got, and stitch markers as well. So you've got a choice. But yeah, so these three and the postage cost me less than £10. So very, very affordable. So yeah, that is all my yarny goodness for this week. And so the last thing is just to touch on a little bit of shop news. And the first thing I wanted to talk about, see, I'm just trying to get to I've put everything on the box that's got all my shop yarn in. The first thing I wanted to talk about was the Cupcake Club. So the March instalment of the Cupcake Club, I really can't say it today. the March instalment of the Cupcake Club is currently available to pre-order. And I've mentioned the Cupcake Club before, and I think I showed you the January instalment on the last episode. So the Cupcake Club is a mystery yarn club, and you receive each month, you will receive, so you sign up on a month-by-month basis, basically. And each month you receive 120 grams of yarn dyed by me. You receive a recipe card, a printed recipe card, a square printed recipe card with a recipe for that month's cupcake theme. And then you also receive a notion of some kind from one of my collaborators. So for January, I was collaborating with Gemma of The Little Grey Girl, and she included some little notions pouches, cupcake themed notions pouches. And then this month is my collaborator is Hannah at the Corner of Craft, and she is making us an exclusive stitch marker, an exclusive progress keeper, one of her hand beaded ones, like the shark that I shared earlier. One of her hand beaded progress keepers, but it will be an exclusive one inspired by strawberry and vanilla cupcakes, which is the March theme. And I'm really looking forward to dyeing the yarn up. I'm going to try and get that dyed up this week. I am limited to 20 slots because of obviously working with collaborators and what people can manage and what people can send me. So I'm limited to 20 slots, and they are nearly half sold out. So if you are interested, then head on over to the shop and get one for this month. And then what else was I going to talk about? Oh yeah, so I've been doing a little bit of rejigging in the shop, and I have changed my sock sets back into being just ready to ship sock sets that you can order as they are. So basically there are 70 gram sock sets like these. So this one is 11. This one is the Daisy Fairy, the Marigold Fairy. I've got, what else have I got? Bubblegum Unicorn Cupcake with Sprinkles. I've got Wisteria. I think that's it. Oh no, there's some Roadkill Pepper. There is some Roadkill Pepper as well, although that one's speckles are decided to hide inside. You can just see what's hidden down the bottom there. So I've got some 70 gram sock sets. I've also done a few that are done up as 120 gram sock sets. So you've got some Daisy Fairy and some Roadkill Pepper as 120 gram sock sets. I think there's also, there's a Wisteria there as 120 grams as well. Just because I wanted to see whether that improves the customer kind of, I don't know, whether it improves the way, whether it makes it easier for customers to shop, because the make your own sock sets have kind of not been as popular. Basically, give it a go. Let's see whether it makes a difference. If of course you do see one and you decide you don't want that colour for the heel, then just drop me a message, because I can work with that. I can do something about it. I've also got in stock I've still got 3 balls of Love Locks, which is my new Valentine's colourway. There are still 3 in there. And I've also got, as I was just talking about, I've just added this weekend, or last weekend, whenever it was, some Let Me Count the Ways, which is that one I'm using for the mermaid socks. And this one pairs really nicely with blush and... oh, there's not going to be any in here, is it? No, and Loganberry as well, but I can't find Loganberry. So yeah, so that's what's in the shop at the moment. And the last thing I wanted to touch on quickly in terms of kind of shop news is that I am having a pop-up shop at Bar in Stonehaven. It's a local yarn store in Stonehaven, which is kind of situated between Dundee and Aberdeen. And it is their first birthday. They will be celebrating their first birthday, and I am honoured to be included in that celebration and to be going along and having a lovely kind of pop-up shop there on the 2nd of March. So if you're interested in coming along, then go and have a little look over on their website, because all the details are over there. But I would love to see you, and if you are coming along, let me know, because it'd just be nice to know whether I'm expecting to see anyone. Okay, so I think that is everything. I think I've told you everything that I meant to tell you the first time round. and hopefully left out some of the rambled chaos that went wrong the first time round. But I'm much happier with what I've recorded this time. Anyway, I will leave it there. Get your projects for the Small But Mighty Cal into the chatter threads and the finished object threads. Use the hashtag on Instagram because I would love to be able to share what you're working on. And yeah, what else do I need to say about that? No, come and join in. Even if you just make a tiny little heart for Valentine's Day, that counts. There is no minimum project size for this cal because it's all about small projects and small things. I will hopefully be able to podcast again before the end of February. So hopefully I will be able to kind of show you my progress on my cal project before then as well. Yeah, I think that is it for this week. If you have enjoyed the episode, then please hit the thumbs up down below. And I will see you again in a couple of weeks' time. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, before I get too rambly, I'm going to go. Thank you so much for watching. If you've liked it, hit the thumbs up. If you want to see more, hit the subscribe. I don't know if I've got those the right way around. We'll find out when I put this on YouTube. And I will see you again in probably about 2 weeks' time, hopefully. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.